My family thought they could kick me out of my own inheritance because I didn't have a family to provide for. But they forgot one thing. I was the one who managed my grandfather's estate for 10 years. When my grandpa passed away, he left behind a beautiful $1.2 million Victorian house. The will was clear. The house goes to the person who actually cared for him in his final years. That was me. I lived with him, cooked every meal, and managed his complex medications, while my siblings, Mark and Jessica, didn't bother to visit for over 3 years. They were too busy living their high-end lives in the city. But at the funeral, the atmosphere shifted. Mark pulled me aside and handed me a folder containing what he claimed was an updated will. He told me that because he has 3 kids and a stay-at-home wife, he needed the space more than a single guy like me. My parents actually backed him up, telling me I should be the bigger person and sacrifice for the sake of the nieces. They gave me exactly 30 days to pack up my life. Mark was so arrogant that he started bringing contractors over to the house while I was still there. He was literally measuring my bedroom for his man cave while I was putting my clothes in boxes. He even laughed at me, saying, "Thanks for keeping the place clean for us, but the adults are taking over now. Maybe you can find a nice studio apartment nearby." I knew the new will was a total forgery. Mark had clearly used a signature from an old birthday card to fake the documents. I took it to a lawyer, but he told me a court battle would take at least 2 years and cost over $50,000 in fees. He said, "Unless you have a faster way to prove this is fake, you're going to lose the house." That's when I remembered a conversation I had with Grandpa a few months before he died. He hated debt, and he hated lazy people. I went down to the basement one last time under the guise of cleaning out old boxes and found the real original deed inside a hidden floor safe that Mark didn't know existed. As I read through the original papers, I found a specific life estate clause and a maintenance debt attachment. It turned out Grandpa had set a trap. The clause stated that anyone who inherited the house was legally responsible for 10 years of back pay for the primary caretaker at a rate of $100 per day. On top of that, there was a $200,000 mortgage Grandpa had secretly taken out to fund my college education that he had never mentioned to the rest of the family. Instead of fighting the move out, I did something they didn't expect. I left quietly. I even apologized to Mark and told him I hoped he enjoyed the house. I waited until the very moment Mark officially signed the papers to take ownership. The second he put his name on that forged will in the public record, he became legally responsible for every single debt attached to that property. 1 week after he moved his family in, he got a certified legal notice from my attorney. Because he accepted the inheritance, he didn't just get a house. He was now legally required to pay me $365,000 in back pay for 10 years of caretaking. And because of the way the mortgage was structured, the bank called in the full $200,000 immediately upon the transfer of the title. Mark had to sell his own house just to try and cover the debt. Since he couldn't pay the bank, they ended up seizing the Victorian house anyway. My siblings and my parents are now effectively homeless, living in a cramped 2-bedroom rental, and they are blowing up my phone, calling me a traitor for not warning them about the clauses. They're actually threatening to sue me for malicious silence.